2024 has been a year like no other, and as we move into the final months, it's crucial to be prepared for the unexpected. The world is changing rapidly, and the challenges ahead are significant. From political unrest to economic instability, food shortages to natural disasters, there's a lot to keep an eye on. In this video, we'll be diving deep into what you can expect for the rest of 2024, and more importantly, how you can prepare effectively. We'll break down the most pressing issues and offer actionable steps you can take to ensure you're ready for whatever comes your way. If you find this information valuable, make sure to hit the subscribe button and click the bell icon so you don't miss out on any of our future updates. Let's get started. First up, we need to talk about political violence and civil unrest. The United States is heading toward one of the most divisive presidential elections in history, and the potential for violence is higher than ever. Deep political divisions have created a charged atmosphere, and it's not just about the day of the election. Unrest could erupt at multiple stages, from early voting through to the inauguration of the new president. The truth is, the stakes are high, and tensions are boiling over in ways we haven't seen in decades. To give you a sense of what we're up against, consider the events of recent years. We've seen protests turn violent, federal buildings attacked, and cities like Portland and Washington, D.C. turned into virtual war zones during periods of unrest. These incidents are not isolated, and as the election approaches, the likelihood of similar or even more widespread unrest increases. What can you do to prepare? The first step is to secure your immediate environment, your home and your neighborhood. Start by establishing a safe perimeter around your home. This could include installing high-quality surveillance cameras, motion sensors, and reinforcing your doors and windows with more durable materials. Consider installing impact-resistant glass or window security film that can prevent break-ins during periods of civil unrest. If you're able to, install exterior lighting with motion sensors to deter any potential threats at night. Building strong community networks is equally important. Get to know your neighbors, especially those who share your concerns about safety and preparedness. In times of crisis, a well-coordinated neighborhood can act as a first line of defense. Establish a neighborhood watch program if one doesn't already exist, and consider setting up communication channels, such as walkie-talkies or encrypted messaging apps, that will allow you to stay in touch even if the power or phone lines go down. This kind of communication is vital because, in times of unrest, official channels can become unreliable or even go dark entirely. Next, consider the possibility of curfews and lockdowns. These are real possibilities in periods of unrest, and being prepared means having enough supplies to last through these scenarios. Make sure you have at least a 30-day supply of essential items. This includes not only food and water, but also medical supplies, hygiene products, and any necessary medications. Don't forget about energy needs. If the power goes out, you'll want to have alternative sources of energy, such as solar chargers, backup batteries, or a generator. It's also wise to have a plan for managing waste, as garbage collection could be disrupted. Finally, don't underestimate the value of self-defense training. Knowing how to protect yourself and your loved ones in a dangerous situation is a crucial part of preparedness. Whether it's taking a self-defense class, learning how to safely handle and store firearms, or even practicing de-escalation techniques, being prepared to defend yourself is key. Remember, the goal isn't to provoke or escalate a situation, but to ensure that you and your family can stay safe if the worst happens. As we move forward, keep in mind that preparedness is not about living in fear. It's about being ready for any situation. Political unrest may be unpredictable, but by taking these steps, you can mitigate the risks and ensure that you and your loved ones are as safe as possible. Now, let's talk about inflation and economic instability. While the official inflation rate might seem manageable at around 2.9%, the reality is that the cost of essential goods is skyrocketing. We're talking about groceries, utilities, and housing, all of which are hitting our wallets hard. And it's not just a domestic issue. Global factors are at play here as well. The demand for U.S. liquefied natural gas, for example, has driven prices up by over 17%. As Europe continues to reduce its dependence on Russian energy, these costs are likely to climb even higher, putting additional strain on household budgets. Inflation is a silent threat that erodes purchasing power gradually. For most families, it means that their money simply doesn't go as far as it used to. Groceries that cost $100 last year might now set you back $120 or more. Utilities, which are essential and non-negotiable, continue to rise in cost, squeezing household budgets even further. This economic pressure isn't just a temporary hiccup, it's a trend that shows no signs of slowing down. One of the first steps you can take to protect yourself is to diversify your investments. In times of economic instability, having all your assets tied up in one place, like the stock market, can be risky. Consider adding inflation-resistant assets to your portfolio. Gold, for example, has historically been a hedge against inflation. Real estate, particularly in areas where property values are likely to rise, can also be a smart investment. Commodities, such as agricultural products or energy resources, might offer another avenue to preserve wealth in turbulent times. Cryptocurrencies are another option that some people consider, although they come with their own set of risks and should be approached cautiously. But it's not just about protecting wealth, it's also about increasing self-sufficiency. The less reliant you are on external markets and supply chains, the better off you'll be if inflation continues to rise. Growing your own food is one way to reduce dependency on grocery stores, which are subject to price fluctuations. If you have the space, consider starting a garden that can produce enough to supplement your diet. Even if you live in an urban area, container gardening or vertical gardening can help you grow fruits and vegetables in small spaces. Another way to increase self-sufficiency is by producing your own energy. Solar panels are an investment that can pay off over time, especially as energy prices rise. Not only can they reduce your electricity bills, but they also provide a measure of independence from the grid. In the event of a blackout or other disruption, having an alternative energy source could be a lifesaver. Reducing debt is another crucial step in preparing for economic instability. High-interest debt, like credit card balances, will only become more burdensome as the cost of borrowing rises. If you can, focus on paying down these debts as quickly as possible. This might mean cutting back on discretionary spending or finding ways to boost your income temporarily. The goal is to reduce your financial vulnerability so that you're better positioned to weather economic storms. It's also important to build an emergency fund if you don't already have one. This fund should cover at least 3 to 6 months of living expenses and be easily accessible in case of job loss or unexpected expenses. Having a financial cushion can make all the difference when dealing with economic uncertainty. Inflation and economic instability are complex issues, and while it might seem overwhelming, taking these steps can help you protect yourself and your family. Remember, economic downturns are a natural part of the economic cycle, and those who prepare in advance are better positioned to navigate these challenges. Next on the list is food security and supply chain disruptions. Global food supply chains are under immense pressure due to a combination of geopolitical tensions, erratic weather patterns, and economic instability. The ongoing conflict in Ukraine has further strained food production, particularly in grain-exporting regions, while climate-related disasters have disrupted agriculture worldwide. This means higher food prices and the potential for shortages, especially in vulnerable regions. Let's take a moment to look at the big picture. Food security isn't just about having enough to eat. It's about the stability of food systems. In 2023, we saw 282 million people in 59 countries facing acute food insecurity. This number is expected to rise as we continue to experience erratic weather patterns and geopolitical issues that disrupt food production and distribution. So, what can you do? The first and most important step is to start stockpiling non-perishable food items. Aim for at least a 3-month supply for your household. Focus on items that are versatile, have a long shelf life, and are easy to store. Staples like rice, beans, pasta, canned vegetables, and dried fruits are all good choices. Don't forget about protein sources. Canned meats, peanut butter, and protein powders can be essential during times of scarcity. Water is also crucial. Make sure you have a reliable way to store and purify water, especially if your municipal supply becomes contaminated or disrupted. In addition to stockpiling, consider starting or expanding your home garden. Growing your own food is one of the most effective ways to ensure a steady supply of fresh produce, even when store shelves are empty. Even if you don't have a large yard, there are plenty of ways to maximize your growing space. Container gardening is a great option for small spaces. Using pots, buckets, or other containers, you can grow a surprising amount of food on a balcony, patio, or even indoors near a sunny window. Vertical gardening, where plants grow up rather than out, can also help you make the most of limited space. Hanging planters, trellises, and wall-mounted systems allow you to grow herbs, vegetables, and even fruits in compact areas. If you have more space, consider planting a variety of crops that mature at different times, ensuring a continuous harvest throughout the growing season. Focus on plants that are well-suited to your local climate and soil conditions, and consider heirloom varieties that offer greater nutritional value and can be saved for seeds, ensuring sustainability for future growing seasons. In addition to vegetables, don't overlook the importance of herbs. They're easy to grow and can add essential vitamins and flavor to your meals. Plus, many have medicinal properties that can be useful in times of need. Another important aspect of food security is learning food preservation techniques. Even if your garden produces more than you can eat fresh, you don't want any of it to go to waste. Canning, dehydrating, and fermenting are all methods that can extend the shelf life of your harvest. Canning, in particular, allows you to preserve fruits, vegetables, and even meats for long periods, making them shelf-stable and ready to use when needed. Dehydrating is another excellent method that reduces the weight and space needed to store foods, making them easy to transport if necessary. Fermentation, meanwhile, not only preserves food but also enhances its nutritional value by introducing beneficial probiotics. Stockpiling and gardening are important, but so is building relationships with local food producers. Farmers markets, community-supported agriculture, CSA programs, and local co-ops can be great sources of fresh, locally produced food that might not be available in traditional grocery stores during a crisis. By supporting local agriculture, you're also contributing to the resilience of your community's food supply chain. Additionally, consider raising small livestock if you have the space and resources. Chickens, for example, are relatively low maintenance and provide a steady supply of eggs and, if necessary, meat. Rabbits are another option. They reproduce quickly, require little space, and their meat is high in protein and other essential nutrients. Raising your own livestock is a significant commitment, but it can greatly enhance your food security, especially in a long-term crisis. It's also important to stay informed about global and national food supply trends. Pay attention to reports from credible sources about crop yields, weather patterns, and geopolitical events that could impact food availability. This knowledge will help you anticipate shortages and adjust your preparedness plans accordingly. Consider setting up alerts for news about agricultural production and trade so you can stay ahead of potential disruptions. Another factor to consider is the impact of rising fuel costs on food prices. As transportation costs increase, so too will the price of food, particularly for items that need to be transported long distances. This is another reason why local sourcing and self-sufficiency are so important. By reducing your reliance on foods that have to be shipped across the country or from abroad, you can mitigate the impact of these price increases on your budget. Finally, remember that food security isn't just about physical food. It's also about nutrition. In times of crisis, it's easy to fall into the trap of eating cheap, calorie-dense foods that provide little in the way of nutrients. However, maintaining good health is crucial, especially when medical care might be harder to access. Make sure your food stockpile includes a variety of foods that provide essential vitamins and minerals. Supplement your diet with multivitamins if necessary, and consider incorporating nutrient-dense foods like nuts, seeds, and dried fruits into your storage plan. Food security is a cornerstone of preparedness, and by taking these steps, you can ensure that your family has the resources needed to weather any storm. Remember, the goal is not just to survive, but to thrive, even in difficult circumstances. Let's move on to extreme weather and natural disasters. The remainder of 2024 is likely to see an increase in extreme weather events, driven by climate change and other factors. The Atlantic hurricane season, for example, is expected to intensify, with warmer ocean temperatures fueling more powerful storms. Meanwhile, large portions of the United States are experiencing prolonged heat waves, increasing the risk of wildfires, droughts, and subsequent flooding and landslides. These extreme weather events can have devastating effects on communities, disrupting infrastructure, displacing populations, and leading to long-term economic and environmental damage. Hurricanes are a major concern for those living in coastal areas. The combination of rising sea levels and stronger storms means that the risk of catastrophic flooding is higher than ever. If you live in a hurricane-prone area, it's essential to fortify your home against these threats. Start by assessing the vulnerabilities of your property. Are your windows and doors hurricane-resistant? Do you have storm shutters or other protective measures in place? Is your roof secure and capable of withstanding high winds? If not, now is the time to make those upgrades. Consider installing impact-resistant glass, reinforcing garage doors, and securing your roof with hurricane straps or clips. In addition to physical upgrades, have a plan for turning off utilities in case of an evacuation. Knowing how to safely shut off electricity, gas, and water can prevent additional damage to your home and reduce the risk of fires or gas leaks during a storm. If you're advised to evacuate, do so as early as possible to avoid getting caught in traffic or hazardous conditions. Make sure your evacuation route is well planned, with multiple alternatives in case roads are closed or impassable. For those in wildfire-prone areas, creating a defensible space around your home is critical. This involves clearing away flammable vegetation and debris, particularly within the first 30 feet of your home. Trim trees and shrubs, remove dead plants, and keep your lawn well watered and mowed. If possible, use fire-resistant landscaping materials like gravel, stone, or native plants that are less likely to ignite. Consider installing fire-resistant roofing materials and siding, and seal any gaps or vents that could allow embers to enter your home. Having a go bag ready is essential if you live in an area at risk for wildfires. This bag should include important documents, medications, a change of clothes, and basic hygiene items. Also include a flashlight, extra batteries, and a portable phone charger. If you have pets, make sure you have supplies for them as well, including food, water, and any necessary medications. Keep your go bag in an easily accessible location so you can grab it quickly if you need to evacuate. Flooding is another significant risk, especially for those living near rivers, lakes, or in low-lying areas. Even areas that aren't typically prone to flooding can be at risk if a major storm or heavy rains occur. If you live in a flood-prone area, consider elevating critical systems in your home, such as your electrical panel, water heater, and HVAC systems. Installing a sump pump with a battery backup can help keep your basement or crawl space dry during heavy rains. It's also wise to keep sandbags on hand to help direct water away from your home's foundation. In addition to these structural preparations, have an emergency plan in place that includes evacuation routes and a designated safe area. Know the flood risk in your area by checking FEMA's flood maps and stay informed about local weather conditions. Sign up for emergency alerts from your local government and have a weather radio on hand to receive updates if cell towers or internet service are disrupted. Extreme weather events are unpredictable, but by taking these steps, you can reduce the risk to your home and family. Preparedness is key, and having a plan in place will help you respond quickly and effectively when disaster strikes. Finally, we need to discuss global conflict and geopolitical shifts. The ongoing conflict between Ukraine and Russia continues to shape global geopolitics, with ripple effects felt far beyond Eastern Europe. This war has disrupted global energy markets, strained international alliances, and created widespread economic and humanitarian crises. The involvement of global powers and the ongoing realignment of international alliances suggests that the geopolitical landscape will remain volatile for the foreseeable future. The conflict in Ukraine has had a significant impact on global energy markets, particularly in Europe. As countries move to reduce their reliance on Russian energy, demand for alternatives like U.S. liquefied natural gas has increased, driving up prices. This has had a cascading effect on energy costs worldwide, contributing to inflation and economic instability. The potential for further escalation remains high, and the implications for global security are profound. So, what can you do to prepare for the impacts of global conflict? First and foremost, stay informed. Regularly monitor reliable news sources and government advisories regarding international developments. Being aware of potential flashpoints and understanding the broader geopolitical context can help you anticipate risks and make informed decisions about your preparedness strategy. Consider joining online communities or forums focused on global security and preparedness to stay ahead of potential threats. Maintaining a stockpile of fuel is also a critical component of preparedness. Fuel shortages and price spikes can occur quickly in times of conflict, so having extra gasoline, diesel, or propane on hand can help ensure you have the energy you need for your vehicles, generators, and heating systems. Just be sure to store fuel safely, following all guidelines for proper storage and ventilation. If you rely on natural gas or heating oil, consider alternative heating options, such as wood stoves or portable heaters that don't require electricity. Investing in alternative energy sources is another way to reduce your reliance on volatile energy markets. Solar panels, wind turbines, and other renewable energy systems can provide a measure of independence from the grid. Even a small solar setup with battery storage can power essential devices like lights, communication equipment, and medical devices during a blackout. If you're in a position to do so, consider investing in a larger system that can power more of your home's needs. Another aspect of preparedness for global conflict is strategic relocation. If you live near a significant military installation, port, or other strategic target, consider the potential risks of conflict escalation. In the event of a major conflict, these areas could be at higher risk of attack or other disruptions. Having a relocation plan in place is essential. Identify safer regions or secondary locations where you can retreat if necessary. This might include rural areas, locations with fewer critical infrastructures, or even other countries that are less likely to be involved in the conflict. In addition to relocation plans, consider the importance of having essential documents ready for a quick evacuation. Passports, birth certificates, insurance policies, and other important records should be kept in a waterproof, fireproof container that can be easily grabbed in an emergency. Digital copies of these documents stored securely online can also provide an additional layer of security if the physical copies are lost or damaged. Global conflict and geopolitical shifts are complex and far-reaching issues, but by staying informed and taking proactive steps, you can mitigate the risks and protect your family. Remember, preparedness is about being ready for any situation, and having a well-thought-out plan is the best way to ensure you're prepared for whatever the future holds. As we wrap up, the remainder of 2024 presents a complex landscape of challenges that require thoughtful and proactive preparedness. From political violence and economic instability to food security, extreme weather, and global conflicts, each threat demands a tailored approach. By following the steps outlined in this video, you can strengthen your resilience and ensure that you and your family are ready to face whatever comes your way. Preparedness is not just about surviving, it's about thriving in uncertain times. By taking action now, you're not only protecting yourself, but also contributing to the safety and stability of your community. If you found this guide helpful, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and share this video with others who might benefit from this information. Stay informed, stay vigilant, and above all, stay prepared. Together, we can face the challenges ahead with confidence and resilience.